Tamara Ellis, a 42-year-old black woman and retired Army major, had served 20 years in military intelligence, including deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. After retiring, she settled in Fredericksburg, Virginia, working as a cybersecurity consultant for a federal contractor. Known for her discipline and quiet professionalism, Ellis kept a low profile, driving a modest sedan and volunteering at a local veteran center. On a Tuesday afternoon in April, she was driving home from a client meeting when two local police officers, Daniel Harper and Michael Reed, pulled her over for an expired registration sticker, which Ellis had renewed but not yet affixed to her license plate. Harper and Reed, both in their mid-30s with a decade on the Fredericksburg police force, had a history of complaints for aggressive tactics, particularly toward minority drivers. Witnesses later reported that the officers approached Ellis's vehicle with unusual hostility, demanding her license and registration without explanation. Ellis complied, presenting her documents and military ID, explaining the registration renewal. Harper dismissed her explanation, accusing her of lying, while Reed searched her car without consent, claiming suspicion of contraband. Finding nothing, they handcuffed Ellis for obstructing an investigation and took her to the Fredericksburg police station, ignoring her calm requests for clarification. At the station, Ellis was booked and placed in a holding cell. She maintained her composure, requesting a phone call to contact her employer, a federal contractor with ties to national security agencies. The desk sergeant, unaware of her background, processed her as a routine detainee. Meanwhile, Harper and Reed completed their report, alleging Ellis had been uncooperative and evasive, though body camera footage later contradicted their account, showing her compliance throughout. Unbeknownst to the officers, Ellis's employer monitored employee statuses due to the sensitive nature of their contracts. When Ellis failed to check in after her meeting, her supervisor alerted a liaison at the Department of Homeland Security. Within 20 minutes, the liaison contacted the FBI's Richmond field office, which dispatched agents to the station. Ellis's military record and clearance level flagged her as a high-priority individual, prompting swift action. 30 minutes after her arrest, 3 FBI agents entered the Fredericksburg police station, demanding Ellis's immediate release. The lead agent, Special Agent Karen Ortiz, presented credentials and a federal order revealing that Ellis held a top-secret clearance and was a key consultant on active cybersecurity operations. The station commander, Captain Robert Langley, was stunned, ordering Ellis's release. Harper and Reed, summoned to the booking area, were informed their actions had triggered a federal investigation due to Ellis's status. Ellis, released without charges, met with the FBI agents, who escorted her to a secure location for debriefing. She provided a detailed account of the stop, supported by her dashcam footage, which captured the officer's aggressive demeanor and unwarranted search. The FBI launched an inquiry into Harper and Reed, focusing on civil rights violations. Body camera footage, obtained via subpoena, showed Harper making racially charged remarks during the stop, including a derogatory comment about Ellis's military ID. The incident gained immediate attention when a bystander's cell phone video of the R.S. surfaced online. Posted on Twitter, it amassed over 1 million views within hours, sparking outrage. Local news outlets covered the story, interviewing community leaders who cited a pattern of discriminatory policing in Fredericksburg. Ellis, initially reluctant to speak publicly, issued a statement through her attorney, calling for accountability and reform. Harper and Reed were placed on administrative leave pending investigation. The FBI's probe uncovered prior complaints against them, including 3 unreported incidents involving black drivers. The officers' union defended them, claiming the arrest followed protocol, but public pressure mounted. Protests outside the station demanded their termination, with signs reading "Justice for Tamara" and "End Racist Policing." Ellis met with city officials, including the mayor, who apologized and promised a review of police practices. She leveraged her military network, connecting with veterans groups advocating for reform. The NAACP's local chapter invited her to speak, where she shared her experience and urged systemic change. Her testimony resonated, leading to a town hall attended by over 500 residents. The FBI investigation concluded with charges against Harper and Reed for civil rights violations and falsifying reports. Both officers pleaded guilty to lesser charges, receiving probation and community service, and were barred from law enforcement. The Fredericksburg Police Department, under scrutiny, implemented mandatory bias training and revised use of force policies. Captain Langley resigned, citing inability to lead amid the controversy. Ellis's story spread nationally, featured in the Washington Post and CNN. She appeared on a PBS panel, discussing racial profiling's impact on veterans. Her employer increased her responsibilities, recognizing her resilience. She launched a nonprofit, Veterans Against Bias, to support minority service members facing discrimination, securing grants from federal agencies. Community response was transformative. Fredericksburg residents formed a civilian oversight board, with Ellis as an advisor. The board reviewed complaints, ensuring transparency. Local schools invited Ellis to speak, inspiring students to engage in civic activism. Her children, aged 16 and 18, joined her efforts, volunteering at the Veterans Center. Harper and Reed faced social repercussions, relocating after losing community trust. They issued public apologies, which Ellis acknowledged but did not fully accept, prioritizing systemic change over personal reconciliation. The officer's conviction set a precedent, cited in legal journals as a case study in accountability. The viral video prompted similar stories nationwide, fueling a movement for police reform. Ellis testified before a Virginia State Committee, advocating for stricter oversight of law enforcement. Her recommendations influenced legislation mandating body cameras and independent audits. Fredericksburg's police budget was reallocated to fund community policing initiatives, reducing adversarial encounters. Ellis's nonprofit grew, partnering with national organizations like the ACLU. She trained law enforcement agencies on de-escalation, drawing from her military experience. Her speeches emphasized empathy and accountability, earning her a commendation from the governor. The incident's anniversary saw a community vigil honoring Ellis's courage. She unveiled a scholarship for minority veterans pursuing cybersecurity careers, funded by her firm. The event, covered by local media, highlighted Fredericksburg's progress, with crime rates dropping due to improved police-community relations. Harper and Reed sentences included community service at a youth center where they faced former colleagues. Their efforts to reform were noted, though public sentiment remained skeptical. Ellis, informed of their progress, focused on her mission, avoiding direct contact. The story inspired academic research on racial bias in policing. Universities invited Ellis to lecture, and her nonprofit published a report on veterans' experiences with law enforcement. The data influenced federal guidelines, strengthening protections for cleared personnel. Fredericksburg's oversight board became a model, replicated in other cities. Ellis's children pursued degrees in law and public policy, inspired by their mother's advocacy. The family strengthened, hosting workshops on resilience at their home. Media coverage evolved, with documentaries exploring the incident's ripple effects. Ellis's TED Talk on systemic change garnered millions of views, amplifying her message. Her firm's contract expanded, reflecting confidence in her leadership. The police department hired a new chief, a reform advocate, who consulted Ellis on policy changes. Arrest disparities decreased, with data shared publicly. Community trust grew, evidenced by increased participation in police-led programs. Ellis's nonprofit opened a second branch, serving rural veterans. Donations poured in, including from former military colleagues. She mentored young women in cybersecurity, emphasizing empowerment. The incident's legal fallout led to settlements for other victims of Harper and Reed. Ellis's attorney represented them, securing funds for community projects. The officers' former union revised its defense policies, prioritizing transparency. Fredericksburg hosted an annual forum on policing with Ellis as keynote speaker. Attendees included national figures, discussing scalable reforms. Her children presented youth perspectives, earning accolades. The story's impact reached Congress, where Ellis testified on veteran protections. Her recommendations shaped a bipartisan bill, passed with broad support. The law mandated training for officers interacting with military personnel.